What is wrong with JD Vance? Everywhere he goes, he stirs up hate against immigrants. Who's he married to? A daughter of immigrants. He married her when he was still an anti-Trumper, comparing Trump to Hitler.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
In Springfield, kids are under armed guard. Their class day photos canceled. This time, it's Haitians. Next time, it might be Indians. What kind of man stirs up hate that could turn on his own children? The kind of man JD Vance is. He made a fortune attacking his hometown and his own family. Now, he's hating on immigrants. His own wife's family. This isn't about politics. It's about basic decency. His neighbors and his own family can't trust JD Vance. Why should America?
I wanted to start with that ad from our friends at the Lincoln Project because it just shows how clear it has become that JD Vance is the worst decision in the history of presidential politics. Donald Trump selecting JD Vance as his running mate has done nothing but doom his campaign to create more bad headlines and point out the very clear connection between Donald Trump and Project 2025. It has been absolutely disastrous. And you would think, could it get much worse? Well, yes, it can. Because today, JD Vance decided he would humiliate the Trump campaign again with one of the worst political stunts I've seen in a long time that resulted with him getting booted out of a restaurant because they just did not want to put up with him. Everyone in America, although we disagree on a lot, can agree that we don't like JD Vance, and it is just so funny to see. And we are going to check it out. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you enjoy this channel, to hit that subscribe button. Now, like I said, JD Vance has done a lot to cause problems for the Trump campaign. And before we get to that clip of Vance, I quickly want to check out one of those instances of Vance kind of screwing Donald Trump over.
In fact, Donald Trump's record on healthcare was so good that the main thing Kamala Harris talks about is actually an achievement of Donald Trump's, which is getting insulin down to $35 a vial. Thank Donald Trump for that. Don't let Kamala Harris lie and take credit for it.
So we clearly know through JD Vance's own admission that he is a liar. He told us that he lied when he was talking about pets being eaten in Springfield, Ohio. And again, he is lying about Donald Trump being responsible for $35 insulin. That's just not true. And so quickly to debunk this point, I want to check out an article that completely shows the false claim that he's making. Fact check. Trump falsely accuses Harrison Biden of lying about $35 insulin. Trump and Vance narrative is false, while Donald Trump did create a $35 per month cap on insulin for some people on Medicare through a voluntary program that prescription drug plans could choose to participate in, but did not sign a statute into law to secure the future of the program. Biden and Harris did get a statute passed, and that law created a permanent $35 per month Medicare insulin policy that went far beyond Trump's. Now I think it's important to thoroughly fact-check that comment by JD Vance, because I see it as an argument put forth by so many Republicans, and especially Trump in Vance, that it is Donald Trump who is responsible for this policy. Of course, we see Donald Trump taking credit for things that are not from him or because of him or came from his administration all the time, specifically with the boom and historic highs we're seeing in the stock market right now. Donald Trump wants to say, that's because of him. It's the market excited for his second term, which, by the way, isn't coming. And so I think it's important that we fact check that. But something that doesn't need fact checking is how unpopular JD Vance is. And that is why today, he was kicked out of a campaign stop. They wanted nothing to do with him. And I want to get into that right here. JD Vance forced to greet supporters in a parking lot after Resturant denies him entry. JD Vance was forced to address supporters in a parking lot after a Pennsylvania restaurant denied him entry because they did not want to host a campaign event. Now, this will become important later, according to NBC News supporters of Vance. I don't know if those exist came early to Pranty Bros in North Versa, Pennsylvania to greet the Ohio lawmaker when he arrived. However, employees with the restaurant told reporters that cameras would not be allowed in and they did not want to host the event.
It's a riot. The manager went outside, told them they need to leave. They will call the police if he comes out. Unfortunately, he cannot come in.
I think that about sums up the popularity of JD Vance. We have seen countless campaign stops from Governor Walz where he has welcomed in to whatever establishment he is stopping by, but oh man, shutting JT Vance out at the door and saying that they'd call the police, he came in, that would be my reaction if I saw JD Vance just like, oh gross, no, thank you. But like I said, it's not just funny that he wasn't allowed in. It's funny who is allowed in. And we can see that in this photo of President Biden right here. Clearly some favorites being played at this local restaurant. And I am not shocked why I think the vast majority of people are going to be preferring President Biden to JD Vance. And that just about sums up what the JD Vance experience has been on the campaign trail. Like I said at the beginning of this video, one of the most disastrous decisions in the history of presidential politics. JD Vance has been such a drag on a ticket with already one of the lowest approval rating candidates in history, and Donald Trump. So it is just a doubling down of damage to the campaign daily that we see. And I want to check out some of the great examples of those with Pete Buttigieg absolutely ripping into JD Vance. And you're going to want to see this.
But again, I think this shows you how desperate Republicans are not to talk about the issues. They don't want to talk about their proposal for tax cuts for the rich. They don't want to talk about their campaign to end a woman's right to choose in this country.
What a perfectly put point there by Secretary Pete. Always. So spot on, Pete Buttigieg. And he lays out the case, which is absolutely correct. The Republican campaign strategy right now is distract, deflect. They want to distract from Donald Trump's failures in his first administration. They want to distract from him overturning Roe Wade, being the person singularly most responsible for that happening. They want to distract and deflect from Project 2025. They want to distract from the comments JD Vance has made about childless cat ladies. They want to distract from their inability to come up with any substantive policy on a real immigration reform by not talking about lying about people eating cats and dogs in Springfield, Ohio, creating political violence and divisiveness because of their lies. They want to distract. That's what it's all about from them. They have nothing to talk about. If they did, they would. And so they don't. Donald Trump doesn't have any real plans. And it's why, like I always say, he wants to be talking about immigration because when he does, so he is not proposing reforms. He is not laying out a plan. He had the opportunity to do so and he failed. He's trying to fearmonger. He's trying to create anger, angst, uncertainty, division. That's their plan. That is their plan. And for a bit of contour on that, I think we should take a look at someone who does have a real plan for policy. And that's Tim Wolves, with a great contrast to JD Vance in this clip.
They drew up the playbook. They know. But I want to tell you something. It's what and how they think about this. My opponent, Senator Vance, had a quote that you read it and you hear it, you gloss over it. But think about how deeply disturbing this is. He said that when they get power, and they will use the Project 2025, they need to be ruthless when it comes to the exercise of power. Who says ruthless in the exercise of power who's running for a democratically elected position? This is not about power, this is about public service. This is not about power, it's about governing.
Leading with compassion, leading with care, that is what we continue to see out of this ticket. That's what we continue to see in every incredible clip of Governor Tim Walz. It's the opposite JT Vance. And I cannot wait for this upcoming debate because how clear of a picture could you get between two people? JD Vance, one of the most disingenuous politicians I have ever seen in my entire life, who's literally built his career off flip-flopping. Knowing what is true and saying the opposite in every instance when talking about Donald Trump and Governor Tim Mez, a normal guy who has spent his life advocating for others as much as he can. It is going to be a lot of fun because, like I said, JD Vance got nothing to talk about but lying. And when he tries to back up his boss, he's just going to have to repeat the same crazy things he says, like stuff like this at a rally today.
It's something special. But outside, we have thousands and thousands of people. Would anybody love to give up their seat? So we were going to have a thing outside someplace in an area where we could have held the people. And I would say, what do you think, 40, 50,000 people at least?
VP Harris and Tim Walz are focused on policy solutions for our future. And Donald Trump is spending hours at campaign rallies complaining about his own crowd size, lying, saying that there's tens of thousands of people outside. Very easy to verify that that is not true. That's what they're doing with their time. If I check my fake watch here, we're 39 days out, and that's their plan. Now, what do you think their governing plan would look like? Well, actually, it is a little bit more detailed than yelling at crowd. See, it is attacking our democracy, attacking our institutions, raising prices through this tariff program, if we can even call it that. His tariff, TADE, that's the difference, adults, angry and agree. JD Vance and Donald Trump. And we're going to keep talking about that contrast every single day on the show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button and leave a like. And if you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.